looking to the future, if anybody wants to be the chair, it's probably a pretty good training session to attend for the future. And you can think about that and just get back with us.
Yeah. Again, the 16th, I'm talking about, it gives you time to get hotel reservations, because we got to remember, you got every county in the Commonwealth trying to be down there during this time.
And town and city.
Yeah. Agriculture Exposition Center report.
Mr. Chairman, I will give that. Mr. Horney and Mr. Dalton and myself met with Mr. Muncie on the Ag Expo board on December the 28th to go over parameters with the engineer to evaluate each site for the selection process. The evaluation of the sites, Mr. Dalton came up with a criteria for evaluating each site, and they were site location, convenience, and accessibility, and security requirements, visibility, general and signage, compatibility with surroundings, acquisition consisted of cost, configuration, number of acres desired or on each site, development costs such as grading, structures, engineering, and access roads, parking, stormwater, permitting, and site constraints, and expansion, see if on the site's expansion and existing facilities, parking, interest, and access. The engineer, we will be meeting in February with the engineer to go over each of the sites. He should have the preliminary evaluations on the site, and I think that will give the Ag Board a real heads up on making an intelligent decision on which site they may select in Wythe County.
Okay. Now, they're not going to be bound by this, are they? Or are they? Or?
No, well.
They are not, but what this does is gives you compare each site equally based off cost, development cost, and all visibility and all these other things, and it should come up to the best site will score the highest points. And we asked Mr. Muncie and take it back to his committee if they had any suggestions to change the rating system to let us know. But I think everybody, what I've heard, is okay with the rating system. So if you do it fairly, and that's the reason we brought an engineer in to get us away from it locally, to make it a fair comparison. If it comes back, whichever one of those is highest rated, that should be the first site they look at.
Right.
But if you can't acquire it.
That's what I say, if it's cost prohibitive.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Next, we'll go to the Budget Committee report.
Mr. Chairman, I guess I'll do that too.
Also.
The Budget Committee met on December the 12th and made the following recommendations. Number one, reject all bids received for the tourism website and re-advertise with specifications that are more in detail. The bids that, the information that we got wasn't detailed enough for us to disregard the low bids from the high bids. So we're rebidding it.
Make sure the specs are right. All right.
I don't think we do anything on that. Number two, to pay $2,095 to Mr. Joe Marshall for an animal claim, and also to implement standard procedures for further claims.
All right. what is meant by standard procedures for future claims?
How we go about investigating
Okay.
what happened in this instance is that we got there after the carcasses and everything. They had some pictures, but we have to be there. For instance, some of the, they were good pictures and everything, but we need to get there, make sure that we get the statements, follow up with the facts, and have it well documented of how we go about making these claims.
Okay. Coming from the committee, it needs no second. Are we ready to vote on this issue?
Also, do we want to set the prices, you know, for registered, or do we livestock market prices?
We will have a recommendation back from the Budget Committee in the future to amend the ordinance of how we determine the values of
Okay.
these.
So Tim, are you ready to put that before us?
Yes.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, we have a recommendation from the Budget Committee to pay Mr. Marshall $2,095. I'll call for the vote. Mr. Horny.
Aye.
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 And aye. Thank you.
Mi-
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, before we go on, going back to number one, since we had formal bids, do we have to make a motion to reject them?
We should. That was a recommendation to the
Okay.
board.
Okay.
I mean, just so that we stay in the, yeah.
Thank you. So we will, Mr. Reeves, you want to make that motion for your committee that we reject all bids?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Coming from the committee, again, it needs no second. We are ready to vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
And aye. Thank you. Next part of the agenda is the Department of Conservation and Recreation. And this is a grant, I believe, for $33,842. And this grant will allow us to prepare an ordinance and become in line with state regulations as far as stormwater management. Is that correct?
If we accept the grant, it will help defray the cost, only a portion of the cost that we will incur to do this, but we have no choice. The Virginia General Assembly last year passed a stormwater management regulations, and we are forced into not only enforcing state law, but to enact our own ordinances, and this is to help defray those costs. We asked for a grant of almost $100,000. We got about a third of it.
Are you expecting this to cost around $96,000? Or can you get it done a little cheaper?
I would anticipate that it will, even the $100,000 would not cover the cost that we asked for.
Okay. Well, do I have a motion to accept the grant of $33,842 to help with the cost of this?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
All right. Looking for a second?
I'll second.
All right. Anyone have any discussion concerning this matter?
As this thing goes on, yeah, it's going to be money out of pockets of people with county, you know, if they build or that sort of thing. We just need to do an educational campaign to let people know that this is not us, that this is not the county.
The fees are set by the state of Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
We're forced into collecting the fees they set. It'll actually place a financial burden, I anticipate, on first-time homeowners and even bigger projects. But the way the current legislation is written, we have no choice but to enact that and be the enforcing agent.
Okay. Do we We have a motion, and it has been seconded to accept the grant for $33,000 plus. I'll call for the vote. Mr. Hall.
Aye.
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 Yeah.
Aye.
That was not a very positive ayes, but you do what you got to do. All right, next on the agenda is for, a letter again from the Department of Conservation and Recreation. And this is, I guess, commending us for the work that we have been doing. Is that correct, Mr. Dalton?
DCR came in last year and evaluated how we were enforcing the state of Virginia erosion sediment control laws. We passed. We did some corrections administratively of some issues that they wanted to see more documentation of, and that was presented with that plan back to the DCR board, and this is their letter accepting our plan and thanking us for the work we did.
Okay. Any comments? All right, seeing none, we'll move next to appointments for 2013. We have several appointments that need to be made. It is my intention now, gentlemen, if you are on a committee and happy with that committee assignment, you will stay on that committee, and we will move forward from there. There are other committees that need to be, I will finalize all this and have it at our 16th meeting, our workshop meeting for committees. We do have a letter from the library board, and also I received a letter from the tourism asking that their certain members be retained, except for, I think, Mr. McLemore from Mill Retreat did not want to be on it. Huh?
Yeah, Miss Moore, yeah.
Miss Moore, okay. Is it Miss Moore? All right. And so we would need a recommendation from the tourism committee or someone for
Well,
that position.
it would be from me,
Okay,
as a
George?
Blacklick supervisor, but the person that I want to talk to about, I've not gotten in contact with them yet.
Okay.
But I have someone in mind.
All right. You can think maybe have that by the 16th?
Hope so.
Okay. All right.
Now, Mr. Chairman, can I
Sure.
go back?
Yeah.
Under the committees, one committee that we have, we have Fire and Rescue Association. Two members of that committee, since we no longer have Fire and Rescue Association, but we do have Fire and Rescue Task Force. There's it's just a little different. We don't have a Fire and Rescue Task Force listed here anywhere, although it's a functioning committee. But we have Fire and Rescue Association members. So.
Okay. Well, what we'll do, I'll try to get with Mr. Dalton and tweak this thing. And the Sesquicentennial Committee does not need, it's over with,
Right.
and so forth. And so that will take off that, and we'll review it. I would like to go ahead and ask you if, because this I think takes approval from the whole board, that we accept Mr. Ernest Wheeler as a member of the library board, because I know they have their first meeting for this year in Grayson County on the 17th of January. So we could go ahead and let them know that he's been appointed. So can I have a nomination to have Mr. Wheeler instead of Mrs. Malcott? Good.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that.
All right. Motion that Mr. Wheeler be appointed. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Been moved and seconded that Mr. Wheeler be appointed to the library board. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any other questions concerning appointments? If you have an appointment, just get me in touch with me if it's someone that you want to plan to put on a committee. If not, I'm going to assume the committees are going to stay as is after we've tweaked to make sure that they have not stayed past their time. Under our bylaws, no one can serve on a committee more than a total of 2 terms. So, and you do have term expiration dates on your forms. All right, we will move next